All those participating in the funeral ceremony take a bath in the Ganga. The scene was of such shock because of such mass death. Krishna himself and the sages gathered there began to speak to the remaining relatives, the survivors, to try and alleviate, to try to lessen the burden of their shock. And Krishna himself explained about the laws of nature in the material world. For one who has taken birth, death is certain. For one who has died, birth is certain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any creature, for any living entity. Of course, although we are spirit soul, we have the human form of life, and that means we have the human side of our life. And so we lament upon the death of a loved one. In the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is showing his human side. He's having a psychological breakdown. Oh, Krishna, how can we engage in this battle? Nothing good will come from it. All our options are bleak, unattractive, disastrous, if we win or if we lose. Oh, Govinda, I shall not fight. That's Arjuna showing his human side. But after hearing Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita, at the end of Bhagavad Gita, the 18th chapter, what does Arjuna say? Nashta moha smritiya labda karishye bachanam tava. My illusion is now gone. I'll act according to your order. So that was at the start of the Battle of Kurukshetra. Now we're at the funeral ceremony near the end. And the combined grief is so massive because everyone knew each other. Everyone was related to each other on both sides of the battle. After the funeral ceremony, Krishna mounts his chariot to prepare to go back to Dwarka. But Uttara comes running towards him. Uttara is the now widowed wife of Abhimanyu. And in her womb is Abhimanyu's child, Parikshit. What had happened? The miscreant, evil Ashvatthama had released 5 Brahmastra weapons, one for each of the Pandavas. Simultaneously, he released a Brahmastra, a localized nuclear weapon, to attack the unborn child within the womb of Uttara. Because Parikshit in the womb was the only remaining heir to the throne for the Pandavas. So Ashvatthama wanted to finish the whole Pandava, anyone related to the Pandavas, he wanted to finish. You know what a Brahmastra is? Those of you who have read Srimad Bhagavatam, who doesn't know what a Brahmastra is? Raise your hand. Everyone knows. More powerful than any nuclear weapon of today. The Brahmastra seeks out only the person targeted. It doesn't harm innocent bystanders, other persons, like the nuclear weapons of today. So Kshatriyas during the Vedic times could release, in rare circumstances, they could release such a localized nuclear weapon to attack a particular individual or individuals. And this is what the evil Ashvatthama had done. Uttara is running towards Krishna. And what is she saying? Pahi, Pahi, Mahayogin, Deva, Deva, Jagatpate. Protect me, protect me. O greatest of the mystics, O most worshipable of the worshipable, O Lord of the universe. Now understand that Uttara is not begging for her own protection. She tells Krishna that I don't mind dying by this Brahmastra weapon. If it's meant for me to die, that's okay. But I want the child within my womb to be protected. That's what she's really appealing to Krishna for. I may die if that's my destiny, but what about my child in the womb? Please protect that child. So Krishna saw the situation immediately. There's no time for the Pandavas, the 5 Pandava brothers, to counteract the Brahmastra sent toward them. So Krishna himself took up his chakra to deal with the 5 oncoming nuclear weapons. The Pandavas had no time to prepare to defend themselves. But remember, what had Krishna promised at the start of the Battle of Kurukshetra? Krishna had promised he would not fight. And the Battle of Kurukshetra was still going on. It was the last moment of it. So you would say that Krishna should have stuck to his promise. He promised not to take up any weapons. He promised not to get involved in the battle. But what is more important for Krishna? To be known as a worldly moralist or to be Bhakta Vatsala, one who gives affection to his devotees? Which does Krishna want to be known most for? So Krishna took up his chakra and dealt with the 5 localized nuclear weapons coming towards the Pandavas, showing the world that even if I have to break my own promise, I'll do that for the sake of my devotees. Krishna wants that quality of his to be known foremost. But what about the Brahmastra, the localized nuclear weapon attacking Uttara's unborn child in the womb? Krishna is present everywhere as Paramatma, the super soul in the heart. So from within the womb of Uttara, Krishna put a protective covering around the embryo, the unborn child, Parikshit Maharaj, the future Parikshit Maharaj, then an unborn child. So in that way, Parikshit was protected from the immensely fiery weapon that was meant to incinerate him. Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, they all received Krishna's protection. Why? Because there are 5 necessary objects of protection in a real human society. What are those 5 that always should be protected? And if you fail to protect these 5, you're subject to ruination. Just like the Kauravas, they desecrated Draupadi, touching her hair, which was sanctified by yajna, by sacrifice, by ritualistic sacrifice, trying to strip her of all her clothes in a public arena. So the Bhagavatam points out that by attacking any of these 5 you bring down upon yourself ruination. So what are those five? Number one, Brahmanas. They're responsible for illuminating society with spiritual knowledge. Even Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, demonstrates subordination to the Brahmanas because Krishna in Dwarka, outside of Braj, in Dwarka, in Mathura, in Hastinapur, Krishna is in the role of a Kshatriya. Of course, in Braj, Krishna is in the role of the son of the cowherd, Nanda Maharaj. But outside of Vrindavan, Krishna takes up the role of a Kshatriya, warrior administrator. And he shows by his own example. When everyone is offering obeisances to him as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna offers his obeisances to the Brahmanas, showing that they must be protected in all circumstances. Who is number two? Cows. Cows provide the most wonderful food, milk. When they're treated properly, they, out of affection, give milk to human beings. Any society that is built upon cow slaughter can never be peaceful or prosperous for long. Nevertheless, when Srila Prabhupada visited New Zealand, he pointed out that because there's so much rain and the grass is so lush, this must be a good place. Of course, we know that along with the grass and along with the rain, there's lots of cow slaughter. But still, Srila Prabhupada pointed out that there are some very beneficial features of New Zealand. But the fact is, New Zealand's a cow-killing country. There was one example recently from the USA. It made nationwide news. There was a video clip made of someone on the second floor of their house with a balcony, grabbing a little dog by the neck and dangling the dog over the edge of the balcony like the dog was going to be dropped onto the ground. So of course you can understand the dog was terrified. So people were, with their phones, were videoing this, and they called the police. The police searched the whole neighborhood looking for the person in the video, found him, a 22-year-old guy, and charged him with cruelty to animals. So you would say, well done, well done. How could this young man be so cruel as to dangle a dog over the edge of a balcony like he's going to be dropped? But in that same country, every year, 9 billion chickens are dangled from their necks to their death. On these conveyor things, the chickens are hung by their necks. 9 billion a year. And how many cows and calves? 32 million are slaughtered a year in the USA. But it was nationwide news, one little dog held over the balcony. How horrible. So this is Kali Yuga. This is the darkness of ignorance that we're dealing with. So cows are number two to be protected. First, Brahmanas, then cows. Number three, women. To protect women doesn't mean to enslave them. It doesn't mean to repress them. It means to have a society where women are respected and honored for their being chaste. The society that we have now, the age of Kali society, is the opposite. Women are respected when they are accessible for everyone. That's considered first class. The purpose of protecting women means that you're safeguarding the quality of future generations. Because as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, when the family structure breaks down, then children are born in a bad way. Bad way means they're conceived in bad consciousness, and so therefore such production of children brings into the world such problematic children. It's because the consciousness of the parents at the time of conception is in the mode of passion and ignorance. Therefore, unqualified children are attracted to take birth in that family. And what you have today is the Earth planet overloaded by unqualified children. The problem is not the quantity of the population. The problem is the quality of the population. And of course, number 4, children should be protected. That means they should be given every opportunity to grow up in a spiritual family. The protection of children begins from the moment they are conceived. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dharma Varudo Bhuteshu Kamosmi Bharatarshava. I am procreation according to Dharma. So according to the consciousness of the mother and father at the time of conception, a certain quality child is attracted to take birth in that family. So that's where the protection of children begins, from the very time of conception. And then, of course, throughout the childhood. So that's number 4. First, brahmanas. Second, cows. Third, women. Fourth, children. And 5th, the older people, the seniors, the elderly. They should be protected so that they have the best chance to leave their bodies and go to a higher destination. If they're not eligible to go back to Godhead, at least they'll be eligible to take birth in a higher family, a family dedicated to spiritual values, a family in which there's not a struggle for the material necessities. So these 5, this quintet, is the symptom of a real human civilization. And so in this way, you can understand we don't have a real human civilization today. So Krishna saved the Pandavas with his Sudarshan Chakra, his disc weapon, even though he promised he would not engage in any fighting himself directly. But out of affection for his beloved devotees, he broke his own promise. And Krishna, from within the womb of Uttara, protected her unborn child. And that unborn child, Parikshit Maharaj, always remembered, who is this personality, this supreme personality that I saw while I was within the womb of my mother? Therefore, his very name, Parikshit, means the one who's seeing, who's seeking what he saw. He always remembered how the Supreme Personality God had saved him while Parikshit was within the womb. So this whole scene at the very end of the Battle of Kurukshetra is so dramatic and so impactful. And it motivates Queen Kunti to start reciting her famous prayers. She offers to Krishna the most beautiful prayers. Often, if you're going to learn any prayers from the Bhagavatam, you would start by learning the prayers by Queen Kunti. Namaste Purusham Twajam Ishvaram Prakrite Param. Such beautiful prayers revealing Krishna's opulences and his sweetness. Because if we don't understand the opulences and sweetness of Bhagavan, how can we be attracted? What is the use of religion without intimate knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? You may say, I believe in God. I believe in the gods. But where is your knowledge of the name, form, qualities, and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? In order to be attracted to Krishna, you have to know about Krishna. And that's the advantage of coming here to Sri Sri Radha Giridhari's temple. By coming here regularly, you become more and more attracted to Krishna. The more you become attracted to Krishna, the more successful your life is. So in other words, real wealth is attraction to Krishna. Attraction to Krishna's name, form, qualities, and activities. The more you can arrange your life so that you're increasingly attracted to Krishna, the more successful and prosperous you are. Real and lasting prosperity is spiritual prosperity. All the other forms of prosperity, material prosperity, can be taken away and lost so easily. But your spiritual prosperity is never lost. That's what Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. Just a little bit of bhakti development becomes your eternal asset. Maybe one of you here has come here today for the first time, and then you never come back again. Still, you get that eternal credit in your spiritual account that you came before Radha Giridhari one time. You will start off from that point in your next life. Some years ago, I found out that when I entered the Brahmacharya ashram after finishing university, I was 22 years old. Before I entered the Brahmacharya ashram, I gave my 14-year-old sister a Bhagavad Gita. I forgot about that for half a century. I never knew because I rarely saw her due to traveling, my traveling on every continent of the world for 50 years. I practically never saw her again. But when she was 61, something happened. She remembered this Bhagavad Gita that she actually read when she was 14. She read the whole Bhagavad Gita as it is when she was 14, but couldn't act on it, didn't know what it meant. But when she's 61, retired from work and a grandmother, everything started to click. So she became a full practicing devotee when she was 61. But between the age of 14 and 61, nothing. So you don't know what will be the result of just a little visit to Radha Giridhari's temple. Also, she told me, after I went into the ashram to be a brahmachari, she visited the temple in New York. Let me see what my brother's doing. So she came and saw Sri Sri Radha Govinda, one time only. Nothing happened until practically 50 years later, a half a century later. Now she gets up at 4 a.m., chants 16 rounds, she's read up until the 12th canto of Bhagavatam. No, finish Bhagavatam, started Chaitanya Charitamrita. But you don't know the impact of just your one visit here. And of course, we hope that this will not be your only visit. The more you allow yourself to be open to Krishna's attractiveness, the more successful your life is. You want success. You want prosperity. You want wealth. But you have to know what is real success, what is real prosperity, what is real wealth. To understand those three things takes knowledge. And when you act on the knowledge, you get the divine experience. So just as Krishna took care of the Pandavas, took care of Uttara, he promises he'll take care of all his devotees. Of course, he does that according to their surrender. Because the more you make yourself dependent on Krishna's protection, the more Krishna is motivated to protect you. Just like a little child. The little child knows nothing but the mother or the father. The little child doesn't know about the police, doesn't know about the government protection, social development protection, nothing. All the little child knows is mother, mother, mother. Similarly, the more a devotee puts himself, herself in a position of relying only on Krishna's protection, the more Krishna himself personally reciprocates. And so the Pandavas, Uttara, Draupadi, Kunti, they're all showing that. Amidst this great tragedy at the end of the Battle of Kurukshetra, this mass funeral ceremony on the bank of the Ganga. In spite of what the laws of material nature are doing, bringing about birth and death, in spite of all that, there is the greatest sweetness, the greatest affection. And that's what will capture your attention when you start reading Srimad Bhagavatam. All right, any questions? Krishna Chandra, you have any questions?
You said that become a devotional. So what is this devotional activity? How one can start?
We start our devotional activities by associating with devotees. In the association of devotees, we pick up spiritual practices like chanting Krishna's name, offering our food to Krishna. You come here and you're tasting food that's been offered to Krishna, hearing about Krishna. We have so many books about Krishna. Your devotional life can easily begin by associating with devotee. You come before the deity, Shri Shri Radha Giridhari, but you may not know what is the significance, what's the deep science behind it all. You learn that in the association of devotee. So here we have many educational courses, many programs in the temple, all to give you the wealth of attraction for Krishna. Some of you are coming and may not come again. Some of you are coming maybe once every month, some coming every half year. There are those who come only for Janmashtami. Still, you cannot calculate your benefit. But you should be eager to get as much benefit as possible for yourself and for your family, for your children. Anything else? So we wish you all the opportunity to increase in your attraction for Krishna. As we said, that's the greatest success, the greatest wealth, the greatest prosperity. Thank you very much.